Welcome to Gurukul Live Lectures. I am Professor Namita Rajput, Professor in Department of Commerce, Sri Aurobindo College, University of Delhi. In the ongoing series of corporate governance, today we will be talking on the role of Board of Directors as far as the corporate governance is concerned. The Board of Directors, they play a very crucial role in the governance of a corporation. They are definitely responsible for providing the strategic guidance, oversight and accountability, ensuring that the company operates in the best of interest of its shareholders and the stakeholders. The composition of the Board of Directors. The size of the board can vary depending on the company's bylaws and the regulatory requirements. Typically, the board have between 5 to 15 members. The type of directors, first we are going to talk on the executive director. So, they are typically a part of the company's senior management like CEO, that is the Chief Executive Officer, and CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Non-executive directors, they are not a part of the company's day-to-day operations and bring outside perspective. The next is your independent directors. These are non-executive directors with no material relationship with the company, ensuring the impartiality. Now, the executive directors, they are typically a part of the company's senior management, and the non-executive directors, they are not a part and parcel of the day-to-day activities. Now, let us see the independent directors. They are non-executive directors. They do not have a special role to play as far as the relationship of the company is concerned, and definitely this ensures impartiality. The diversity. The modern board aims to bring diversity in the terms of gender, in terms of ethnicity, skills and the experience to bring a range of perspective and the insights. The strategic oversight, approving and guiding the corporate strategy, major plans of the action, the risk management policies and the annual budgets. Monitoring the implementation of the strategic objectives. Financial oversight is one of the major role of the Board of Directors, ensuring the integrity of the company's financial statements, overseeing the capital structure and ensuring the adequate resources for the operations. The risk management, identifying and overseeing the management of principal risk, ensuring that the systems are in place for the risk management and the internal control. The corporate governance, it establishes and monitors the effective governance policies and the practices, ensuring the compliance with the legal and the regulatory requirement. Performance evaluation, evaluating the performance of a senior management and the board itself, ensuring that the company has the right executive talent and the successful plans. The ethics and the corporate responsibility, it promotes the ethical behavior and the compliance with the laws and the regulations. It ensures that the companies act in a socially responsible manner. Now, let us see what are the functions of the Board of Directors. The first is your meetings, regular meetings to discuss and make the decisions on the company matters. Then special meetings to address the urgent issues. The next is your committees. Audit committee oversees the financial reporting and disclosure. The compensation committee, it oversees the executive compensation and the benefits. Nominating and the governance committee, this manages the board composition and the governance policies. It focuses on overseeing and manipulating the risk. Now, what is the advisory role? Providing the advice and the counsel to the CEO and the senior management, offering the expertise and the guidance on the strategic and the operational issues. Then the oversight of the management, appointing, supporting and evaluating the CEO, ensuring that the management acts in the best interest of the stakeholders. So, the Board of Directors, as we have discussed, is an integral part of the success and the governance of a company. By fulfilling their role and responsibilities, the board members, they help ensures that the company remains competitive, ethical and profitable while adhering to the sound corporate governance practices. Their collective experience, the strategic oversight and the commitment to the accountability are vital in navigating the company through the various challenges and the opportunities. The qualification of the independent directors, expertise and experience. Typically, they have an extensive experience in their respective fields, often possesses the financial, legal, industry specific expertise and experience in the leadership positions such as the CEOs, that is the Chief Executive Officer, CFO, that is the Chief Financial Officers or other senior executives. Now, the independent directors most not have any material relationship with the company that would impair their judgment, should not be a former employee or the family ties with the current executives, no significant transaction or the financial interest with the company, the reputation and integrity, high ethical standards and a strong reputation for integrity, demonstrated ability to act in the best interest of the shareholders, the governance knowledge, familiarity with the corporate governance practices and the regulations, understanding of the fiduciary responsibilities and the role of a board of director. The role of the independent director first is your oversight. It provides the unbiased oversight of the management performance, ensure that the company adherence to the good governance practices, the strategy development. It contributes to the strategic planning and decision making process, offer independent judgment on the corporate strategy and the major business decisions. The risk management. It oversees the company's risk management policies and practices. It also ensures that the risk is properly identified and assessed and managed. The audit and compliance. It serves on the audit committee to oversee the financial reporting and compliance. It also ensures that the accuracy and the integrity of the financial statements. The next is your compensation. It participates in the setting executive compensation, ensures the compensation practices aligned with the shareholder interest. Succession planning. It contributes to the CEO and the senior management succession planning. It ensures that the company has a robust leadership pipeline. Importance of the independent directors, enhancing the governance. Strengthen the governance framework of the company, promotes the transparency and accountability within the organization. Then the next is your protecting the shareholders' interest. It acts in the best interest of all the shareholders, especially the minority stakeholders. It mitigates the potential conflicts of interest between the management and the shareholders. Building the trust. It ensures the credibility and the reputation of the company, fosters the trust amongst the investors, stakeholders and the public, improving the performance, providing the diverse perspective and the insight that can lead to a better decision making. It also drives the company towards the long-term sustainable growth. The regulatory compliance. It ensures that the company complies with the regulatory requirements, maintain the integrity of the financial and the operational disclosures. So, we can say about the independent directors that the independent director play a very crucial role in ensuring a robust corporate governance, enhancing the transparency and safeguarding the interest of the shareholders. Their qualification, impartiality enable them to provide a valuable oversight, mitigate the risk and contribute to the company's long-term success. Now, let us see about the audit committee formation, functions and the regulatory requirements. The audit committees are typically established by the board of directors of a company. Now, let us see the formulation process. The members are usually non-executive directors with a strong background in finance or accounting independence is crucial to ensure the objectivity. A formal document outlining the committee's responsibility, authority and the structure. So, this charter is approved by the board. The members are formally appointed by the board and the committee existence and the purposes are communicated to the stakeholders. Now, let us see the functions of the audit committee. The primary functions of an audit committee include the oversight of the financial reporting, ensuring the accuracy and integrity of the company's financial statements, internal control and the risk management, evaluating the effectiveness of the internal control and the risk management process, external audit, appointing, compensating and overseeing the work of the external auditors, reviewing the audit findings and ensuring any issues are properly addressed. The compliance with the laws and the regulations, ensuring the company's adherence to the relevant financial reporting standards and the regulatory requirement, ethics and the whistleblowing policies, overseeing the implementation of the ethical standards and the policies for reporting the unethical behavior or the fraud. The regulatory requirements. Audit committee must comply with the various regulatory requirements which can vary by the company and the industry. The common regulatory requirements include the Sarbanes-Oxley Act SOX-US Section 301. It requires the publicly traded companies to have an audit committee that is directly responsible for the appointment, compensation and the oversight of the external auditor. Section 302 mandates the CEO and the CFO certainly the accuracy of the financial statements and the effectiveness of the internal control. It also requires under Section 404 that an annual internal control report stating the responsibility of the management for establishing and maintaining the adequate internal control over the financial reporting. The European Union Audit Directives. The requirement, it requires the public interest entities, that is PIEs, to establish an audit committee with a specific role and responsibility. It emphasizes the importance of the committee independence and the financial expertise. The UK Corporate Governance Code. It also recommends that the audit committee be comprised of the independent non-executive directors, outlines the specific responsibilities related to the financial reporting, internal control and the relationship with the external auditor. The next is your Canadian Securities Administrators, that is CSA, National Instrument. It sets out the requirement of the composition and the responsibilities of the audit committee by companies listed on the Canadian Exchange. The International Organization of Security Commission IOSCO and the International Audit and Assurance Standards Board, that is IAASB. It provides the guidelines and the standards that ensure the audit committee practices globally. And to enhance the effectiveness of the audit committee, the companies should consider the following best practices. The first is your regular training, that is provide an ongoing education and the committee members on emerging issues, the regulatory changes and the industry trends. The performance evaluation, it conducts the periodic evaluation of the committee's performance and the effectiveness. The transparency, maintain the open and transparent communication with the stakeholders about the committee's activities and also the findings. The collaboration, it fosters a collaborative relationship with the internal auditors, external auditors and the management. It also ensures that the committee members remain independent and free from the conflicts of interest. So, by adhering to these guidelines and the best practices, the audit committee can effectively fulfill their roles in the corporate governance, enhancing the integrity, reliability of the financial reporting and contributing to the overall success of the organization. Now we come to the corporate social responsibility, that is the CSR. The corporate social responsibility refers to the efforts made by the companies to conduct their business in an ethical manner, taking into account their impact on society, environment and the economy. The CSR activities can include the philanthropy, ethical labor standards, practices, reducing the environmental impact and ensuring a fair business practices. The legal requirement for the CSR. The legal requirement for the CSR varies significantly by country and jurisdiction. Let's see some general legal aspects. The environmental laws. The companies are often required to comply with the environmental regulations, which may include the limit on pollution, requirement for the waste management, and the standards for the resource use. The Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act in the United States. The labor laws. These laws ensure a fair treatment of the employees, including the minimum wage law, corporate safety regulations and anti-discrimination laws. Now the Fair Labor Standard Act in the United States. Now the consumer protection laws. Now these laws protect the consumers from unethical business practices, including misleading advertising, defective products and unfair competition. The Consumer Protection Act in the UK. The companies are required to adhere to the governance laws that dictate how the business should be run, including the shareholder rights and responsibilities of the directors. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act in the United States. The next we talk about anti-bribery and the corruption laws. Many countries have a very stringent laws against the bribery and the corruption. The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act FCPA in the United States. The best practices for the CSR, sustainability, implementing the environmental friendly practices like reducing the carbon footprints, using the renewable energy sources and promoting the sustainable resource use. Then we have ethical labor practices, ensuring a fair wage, safe working conditions, respecting the workers' rights and engaging in the practices that support the diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Investing in the community development through the philanthropy, volunteering and the partnerships with the local organizations. Transparency and accountability. Being transparent after the business practices and being accountable to the stakeholders. The regular reporting on CSR activities and their outcomes. The first is your corporate governance. Adhering to the high standards of the corporate governance are ethical and making decisions that benefit all the stakeholders. Stakeholders engagement. Regularly engaging with the stakeholders, including the employees, customers, suppliers and the community to understand their concerns and the expectations. Embedding the CSR into the core business strategy rather than treating it as the separate or the secondary activity. This ensures that the CSR initiative align with the company's overall goals. Continuous improvement. Regularly assessing and improving the CSR practices. Staying updated with the latest trends, standards and stakeholders' expectation. Let's see an example of CSR strategy in action. A tech company might implement a CSR strategy that includes environmental initiatives, reducing the e-waste through recycling programs, minimizing the energy use in the data centers and investing in the renewable energy sources, employee welfare, offering the competitive wages, ensuring a safe and inclusive work environment, and providing the opportunities for the professional growth. Then we have the community programs, supporting the local education through scholarships, sponsoring tech boot camps for underrepresented groups, and engaging in the community service projects. Ethical governance, maintaining the transparency in the business practices, conducive regular audits, and adherence to the ethical guidelines in the operations. So, we can say at the end that CSR is not a legal obligation, but a strategic approach to the sustainable, ethical business. By following the legal requirement and the best practices, the companies can contribute positively to society while also achieving a long-term business success. Now, let's talk about the insider trading regulations. Insider trading regulations in India are primarily governed by SEBI, that is the Security Exchange Board of India. SEBI has laid down the comprehensive provisions to curb the insider trading, ensure compliance. Let's see some key aspects. These regulations, that is the Prohibition of the Insider Trading 2015, these regulations are the cornerstone of the SEBI's effort to combat the insider trading. Let's see some key provisions. The insider trading involves the trading in securities of a listed company by individuals who have the access to the unpublished price sensitive information. We call it as UPSI. An insider is anyone who is connected to the company or has the access to unpublished price sensitive information. Now, this includes the directors, employees, and any other person who has been contractual, fiduciary, or employment relationship with the company. Now, the unpublished sensitive information refers to any information that is not public and can materially affect the price of securities. For example, it includes the financial results, dividends, mergers, acquisitions, etc. The prohibition on communication or procurement of UPSI. The insiders are prohibited from communicating, providing or allowing the access to UPSI except for the legitimate purposes. The performance of the duties or the discharge of the legal obligations. The trading plan. Insiders are allowed to formulate the trading plans to trade in securities in a compliant manner. These plans must be approved by the compliance officer and disclosed to the stock exchanges. The disclosure requirement: every promoter, member of the promoter group, key managerial personnel and director of every company must disclose their holdings in the securities as of the date of these regulations combining into effect. The continual disclosure. Any change in holdings exceeding the specified thresholds must be disclosed within the 2 trading days. The code of conduct. The companies must have a code of conduct to regulate, monitor, and report the trading by its employees and other connected persons. Now, the penalties for the non-compliance. The Security Exchange Board of India, it imposes several penalties for the violation of the insider trading regulations. These can include the monetary fines, imprisonments, barring the individuals from holding the directorship or being associated with any listed company. Now, the compliance measures. Appointed of the compliance officers. The companies must appoint a compliance officer who is responsible for overseeing adherence to the insider trading regulations and ensuring a proper maintenance of the records. Maintenance of the structured digital database. The companies must maintain a structured digital database containing the nature of the unpublished sensitive information, names of the person who have shared it, and other relevant details. This database should be maintained internally and not be outsourced. The next insider trading regulation talks about the internal control. The companies need to have a robust internal control to identify the instances of the insider trading. This includes the processes for monitoring the trading activity, handling the unpublished sensitive information, and ensuring the compliance with the trading plans. The next is your education and the training. The regular training and awareness programs for the employees and connected persons about the regulations, the significance of the compliance, and the repercussions of the non-compliance. The next is your periodic reviews. Conducting periodic reviews and audits to ensure an ongoing compliance with SEBI regulations and to identify any gaps in the existing process. The recent amendments. The SEBI regularly updates its regulation to adherence to the evolving market practices and emerging challenges. So, keeping abreast of these changes is very crucial for ensuring a continued compliance. So, by adhering to these provisions and implementing a robust compliance measures, the companies can mitigate the risk associated with the insider trading and maintain the integrity of the security market. So, the regulatory reforms enhance the disclosure requirement. The recent reforms in the corporate governance in India have focused on increasing the transparency and accountability. Introduction of amendments in accounting standards and incorporating the rules have mandated the high disclosure requirements, and these changes are primarily the updates, enhancing the disclosures relating to the material accounting policies and the deferred tax assets. The ESG framework has been a very significant shift to the corporate social responsibility to a more integrated ESG approach. So, this transition is reflected in the mandatory business requirement, that is the BRSR, Business Responsibility and Sustainable Reporting for top 1000 listed companies by the market capitalization starting from the financial year 2023 to 2024. It has actually improved the quality of the ESG disclosures, aligning with the global standards and emphasizing the transparency, ethical business practices, human rights and environmental safety. We also talk about the digitization and the compliance ease. The digitization of the compliance processes have been a very key development process, and the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has introduced the electronic processing of the forms. It streamlines the approval, delays the bureaucratic details. Then the stakeholder influence on the ESG play a very crucial role in shaping a ESG agenda in India. So, these advocacies of the environment, digital aspects, they have all encouraged to assess and mitigate the environmental impact of their digital infrastructure, ensuring the ethical use of data, protect the price sensitive information and the cyber threats. Thank you so much.